Hey everyone, welcome back. Larry here again to go over the part 2 of the fermented hot sauce that I started doing back in part 1 actually it was 7.5 weeks or so ago, give or take, that I actually fermented, started the fermentation of a batch of peppers, which I did in that previous video. I did several other batches before and after that video too, to go alongside all of this. So as a follow-up to that first video, I'm going to finish up that batch that I did in that video. I'm going to process it and turn it into hot sauce here today. But I'm also going to talk a little bit about some of the other batches that I did along the way and some of the good things that happened and a bad thing that happened with one of the batches. So a little bit of a lessons learned here video today, the good and the bad, just throwing it out there. So if you want to see how this turned out and how some of them may not have turned out, stick around, I'll tell you all about it. And here's the jar that I was talking about right here. This is the Tabasco, Melrose, Fresno, Habanero, and Tomato batch here, marked on September 17th. If you recall, that was the batch I did, and it looks a little different now. I have some liquid in the bottom, a little bit of a puffiness texture, you might want to say, with holes and air pockets in here that have formed. I think it changed a little bit of color too, but this is done. It quit bubbling probably several weeks ago. It's been about 7.5 weeks since I started this process, and this is where we ended up. Coincidentally, I have some that were done a couple days later, the 20th, that are also done. I'll process that probably tonight as well. And then I have another batch here that's got a late start that I started on October 8th, and it's fermenting now. It took a while for it to get going, and I had actually had to skim some mold growth that was growing on the top because of the late start, but it's doing fine now. If you actually, since I'm at it, this is a batch that didn't turn out so well. So you can see in here the mold. Actually, this isn't so bad. I actually had to scrape out mold a couple times in here trying to keep it alive, but eventually it just took over, and I'm going to dump this batch here because it's too much mold in there. It actually took a late start. I think the issue with this one is that it sat for a few weeks before it started to ferment, and that was more than enough time for any rogue spores, bacteria, whatever, mold spores actually to get in there and start growing before the fermentation started. So that's what happens when you get a sluggish start. The mold and other baddies get a jump start in there and kind of take over the top, and no amount of scraping the mold off the top could subdue it. So I just let it go, and now it's ready to dump. So this is not a batch that you want to keep, I don't think. So off to the side you go, unfortunately, but that's okay. I got 5 other batches, 2 already processed and these 3 to go. So let's get this one going. First thing I'm going to do, which I actually didn't do for my last batch, but I did for my first one, was take a pH reading with a pH meter to confirm that the pH is low enough to safely eat this at room temperature without having to bottle it. I think the safe pH level, I think it was under 4.6 or below. I'll put the correct number on screen here, but getting down into the 3s is actually preferable. So I'm going to go ahead and check what I got now with the raw sauce before I add any vinegar, which will decrease the pH further in case it's borderline, or because I like to add vinegar. I like for both reasons actually. So let's do that. I already calibrated this off camera in a couple vials of solution, the 7.0 to the 4.0 pH solutions, to get it calibrated per the instructions on this device. So now it's accurate and ready to be measured. I'm going to go ahead and just stick it in there. .3, that's below 4.6. I think that's shelf stable, I believe. But it's not quite as low as I want it to be. Plus, I want to add some vinegar to lower it anyway, so let's go ahead and add some vinegar. Smells pretty good. So what I'm going to do with this batch, because this batch has a lot of seeds in it, you can see that it's got a lot of seeds in it, and this is because it's primarily Tabasco peppers, which are hard to de-seed. I mean, they're a pain in the butt. They're real small and there's a lot of seeds in them. So proportionally, there's going to be a lot of seeds in anything with Tabasco in them, which is why most Tabasco sauces are thinned out and just the juice thinned out with some vinegar without any of the pulp and anything mixed in with them, because there's just so much of it, right? So for this particular batch, I'm going to do the same. Now, I've done other batches where I've made them thicker, where I didn't strain anything. I just would take the whole mash here and dump it right into a blender and puree it with some vinegar and make it more of a thicker paste or slightly thicker sauce. But in order for that to work out for me, I have to de-seed the peppers, which means Tabascos are not the best candidate. I would probably use, I have used habaneros, jalapenos, havasus, you know, the kind of thicker wall peppers that you can use that have fewer seeds and are easier to de-seed. So, all right, so back to this. I'm going to go ahead and start putting this through my mesh strainer here into a little bowl here. I've sanitized both of these with some Star San solution, which I use for home brewing all the time, right? That's food grade sanitizer. It doesn't need to be rinsed or anything or wiped out. So I'm pretty safe here. So I'm gonna go ahead and start loading this up. You can see here I'm having a little difficulty this time around. See how the juice is barely coming out of there, and it's gonna take a while to get them all squeezed out. So the other trick is to go ahead and, rather than just dumping the paste into the strainer where it kind of just takes forever, you can also then add some white vinegar to the jar, stir all it in and get it all loosened up, and then pour that through the strainer. And that's what I'm gonna do next. So now the paste is back in the jar, where I can combine it with some white wine vinegar here. Just some store brand stuff. White vinegar would work, cider vinegar. I happen to prefer white wine vinegar, so that's what I'm gonna use this time. I'm just gonna go ahead and pour some in there to thin it out. Just kind of eyeballing it. This is a Tabasco based sauce, so it's gonna be pretty vinegary anyway. So I'll start with that. I'm gonna stir it in. And thin it out that way. See, it's starting to get a lot thinner now, just like that. See, to make it easier to strain. Maybe a little tad more vinegar. There we go. Stir it in. There we go. I think it's loosened up a lot better now. All right, let's try straining it one more time. All right, let's try this again. That's better. All right, there we go. That's working better. That helps a lot. So just kind of smush it around in there, force it through the mesh. Kind of scrape it, rub it around. And that was a lot better. That was a lot better. So let me show you here. So what you see here now is that it's all kind of been pushed through. All that's left are the thin skins of the peppers and and there's some pulp in here, but it's mostly seed and skin. All right, so let me dig this out of here and start the next batch. Oh, there's some pulp on the bottom that you can probably scrape off with a bowl. So that gave me about just under 2 cups, under 16 ounces. That's a little about 3 bottles worth, I believe. All right, so time to give this a taste. Cheers. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, it's got a zing to it. It's a pretty good zing. It's not too hot, but it might be a little bit hot for some people. It doesn't have enough of that vinegary twang that I like in Tabasco sauce. I'm going to add a little bit more of the vinegar to this. So if I'm going to add some more vinegar to this, I might as well try to get some more liquid out of here too, right? So I'm going to put the pulp back in so I can give it another squeeze, another round of squeezing. Pour some of the vinegar on top. There we go. And I'm gonna go ahead and continue to work it through the DIY food mill here, basically. I have a food mill, but it doesn't do as good of a job squeezing out all every little last drop of goodness out of these peppers. It's better for like things like tomatoes and other stuff than peppers. All right, that's still pretty good, but let's give it a taste here again. Oh, that's better. That's better, but maybe a little bit more vinegar. Okay. I think I'm happy with that. I'll just scrape off some of the pulp off of here. A little over 2 cups, about 2 1/3 now. These will fit into probably 3 bottles with a little overflow into another bottle if I wanted to, so I'll see how this goes. Give it a stir first to stir that up really well there, so the vinegar and the sauce is mixed in well together. That's a pretty good consistency, I think. Could go thinner, but I think this will be plenty. And I'll give it one more taste just in case. Actually, like it just the way it is. So now in here, I have several hot sauce bottles. I just had drip drying. I had some Star San sanitizer in them, soaking and dripping out. So those are looking pretty good. There might be a little bit of foam still in them like that, but it's food grade. It's safe to leave it in there. It's not going to harm anything. So let me get a couple of those bottles out of there. Actually 3, I think, if my count is correct. 1, 2, 3. Well, I'll be damned. I didn't hit record or stop recording or something because I was filling the bottles this whole time, talking along, and turns out I wasn't recording. But I have 3 bottles of hot sauce here. I use this little funnel thing that came with, I think, a booze flask or something, and that I can just fill it up and pour it down in there with, and that was actually never a problem. Filled and run on up. Put a little headspace in there because you need a little bit in there because this stuff is going to continue fermenting, and a little bit of headspace is a kind of a buffer from exploding or erupting hot sauce when you open the bottle, I think. So just a little bit of space. I actually have some hot sauce left that I'm going to probably put into a container in my fridge and consume that first before I even open these bottles up later. So these bottles will be for the long term. So now I'm just going to go ahead and just wipe the rims of the bottles. Add these little orifice restrictors on top. They are also sanitized in some Star San. Just as a precaution. You know, I don't want any mold and stuff growing on these things while the hot sauce sits in storage. Okay, and also some sanitized bottle caps. I go with the screw-on caps. Give them a little snug turn. And these are also sanitized. And there we go. So hot sauce, yum, yum, yum. So that batch is now bottled. I'm going to put some labels on it and some shrink wrap on it in a little later. But for now, I'm going to move on to my second batch, which was just started a couple days after this last one was done and is also ready to be bottled. So here we go. This one is a combination of also, like the first one, mostly Tabasco, so it's going to be the same kind of sauce with lots of seeds in it. But it's also got some habanero, some havasu, which are like Santa Fe style peppers, onion, fermented onion, Melrose peppers, Fresno peppers, and garlic. Right, so this has been going since September 20th. It's November, I think, 9th now. So this is all done too. You can see how it looks. It's all watery in the bottom where it was. I kind of shook it up once already, and it's been sitting here ready to, into some liquid there, everything that's separated out of there. Look at that, it's gorgeous, huh? So let's get that going. So let's get a look inside. Oh man, that smells good from behind the camera here. Hold on here, let me smell this. Oh wow, that's definitely got a different smell than the first one. You definitely smell the fermented onion and garlic in this one, which is not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. So, all right, let's process it. So similar as before, I think I'm going to go ahead. I know this is pretty watery. I may not even need any white wine vinegar, but I'm going to put some anyway in there for flavor. So I'm going to put some more of the white wine vinegar that's here in there. And I'm going to stir that in with a sanitized spoon. Again, I'm just being cautious. Star San sanitizer. I have plenty of it, so why skimp and take chances? There we go. So mix that all in really nice. So let's go ahead and, whoop, splashing everywhere. Make sure you wear eye protection, folks. No, just kidding. I don't have any. I might be wearing gloves today. I probably should be wearing gloves for this, but as long as I don't touch my eyes, my lips, my nether regions. Oh man, you smell that fermented onion. That is an interesting smell, by the way. It's not like a raw onion smell. It's not like a grilled onion smell. It's a fermented onion smell. That is really different. It smells interesting. Really good, actually. I'm starting to drool. And I think that's about it. I mean, I don't have anything else. There's some pulp there I can scrape off the bottom. That's fine, I guess. Maybe you can stir it in a little bit better. Yeah, that's 2 cups. Just a tad over, about 2 1/3 actually. So I'm gonna have the same issues before. I'm gonna fill up the 3 5-ounce bottles, which is 15 ounces, and this is actually a little over 16. So I'm gonna have about an ounce or 2 left over. I'm gonna save to maybe make some hot wings with or something. And again, I grab my bottles. So I estimate about 3 5-ounce bottles per 2 cups worth, which is going to give you more than enough to fill the bottles and a little extra. It's kind of a guessing game as to how much you'll actually end up with, depending on how much vinegar you add and how many peppers you have in your jar, etc., etc. But let's bottle these. All right, so bottle. Get this out of the way. Oh, you know, one thing I didn't do is check the pH. Yeah, I forgot to check the pH, guys. So here we are, pH meter. See, it's sticky in there. Okay, this is going down to 3.38 now. Now that's with a little bit of the vinegar added, but I didn't add a lot to this one. So most of that was all the pepper sauce itself. So that's good. Do you need a pH meter? Probably not. People have been fermenting stuff for forever. I mean, it's just, but it's a precautionary thing to do. Something that gives you the peace of mind that if you aren't into refrigerating your fermented sauces and you leave them out at well, storage temperature, room temperature, whatever, you have a peace of mind of knowing that they're shelf stable. But me, I personally like to refrigerate my bottles. They last a lot longer that way. So I know fermenting is a preservation method, which is why I'm doing this. So they don't need refrigeration, but refrigeration is still kind of nice to have. And again, these were sanitized with Star San, and the foam in them is safe. It's not dish soap, right? It's not what you think, most people think that is. That's actually a foaming agent, food grade acid sanitizer that used in home brewing, winemaking, etc., food service, and the like. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure this is still mixed up and not separated since I was talking and stopping the camera. Get that all kind of mixed up. Then I'm going to take my little funnel here that I have. I'm going to put that right up on top of there. See if I can get us to closer to the camera a little bit there. And I'm going to try a little backhand hold here because I don't want to block the camera view while I do this because, you know, it is video. So I'm going to go ahead and try not to spill. It's looking good. Try to get close to the top, and you want a little bit of headspace in each bottle for safety. Because this will continue fermenting as long as you have it in the bottle. I didn't pasteurize it, I didn't kill it, so it'll continue to ferment slowly over time, which means gas will get built up in this air pocket. The air pocket will contain it, keep the bottle from exploding, and also give you a little bit of a buffer in case you open the bottle and it shoots up at you. You have a little bit of headspace to help mitigate some of that. So that's why you leave a headspace there. So I'm going to do that for the other bottles, like this one too. Move that over there. Backhand hold. Boy, am I talented. Right. That looks good too. Oh yeah, right around there. Beautiful. Looking great. And then the next one. You push these out of the way so I don't knock them over. All right, let's do the backhand hold again. I'm a contortionist. A YouTube contortionist. There we go. And that should, oh, that's actually pretty close. Wow, that's really close. I still had a little bit of sauce left that I can now use again. Maybe I'll combine it with the other sauce and have a bigger batch to toss some hot wings in them, right? That would be good. So now we essentially have 3 bottles. Again, and I could even probably, you know, I was gonna put a splash more, but I think I'm gonna just keep that headspace that's in them now. And again, I have these little snap-on orifices that are sanitized as well, that go on each of the bottles. So I'll come up here and put that on there. Snap you on there. And there, just like that. So I got 3 of those there. Screw on the bottle snugly, or the bottle caps on snugly, like that. And here, see, just like that. Ta-da! I just realized I didn't taste it on camera for you guys, so let me give it another taste out of this. Oh, that is like a mature, I mean, a traditional fermented pepper sauce flavor. Got a nice slow burn. I think the fermentation helps kind of dull some of the really hot aspects of some of these peppers, but it lets some of the more of the flavor come through. Definitely taste that in this batch and the one before, of course, too. And you know, the other 2 batches now. It's 4 batches now that I bottled out of 6. I got 1 more to do here in the back, and the other one I showed you earlier was tainted. Not going to process that one, but man, delicious. Now the next thing to do is put on some labels. So here we are. I printed up some labels there. Those are actual labels for my hot sauce. One is the called the Tabasco-mato, which has got the tomato in it, and the other one is going to be the Tabasconian, which is the Tabasco and onion kind of version. So, and there they are. Got the label right on there. Tabasconian times 3. And here's an earlier batch I did. I call the Habango after the mango and habaneros that are in it. All right, so I got a few of those. And then I have a batch of habaneros, which is habanero and Melrose dominant strain there, which I've only got 2 bottles left. I actually had more before this. And to top it all off, I wanted to put a shrink cap on top of the bottles. So this is just a shrink cap you can buy in packages. And I'll put a link to maybe in my video description if you guys care to look these up. But I'm going to go ahead and heat up my wife's hair dryer here and give it a shot. And there we go. All shrink capped on there. Looking pretty good. I can probably do a little bit more actually here, but it's good enough. cheese. And there you have it. Bottled fermented hot sauce, packaged up and ready to, well, give away, to keep. Either way, someone's going to enjoy this. So, success. One more batch to go, but I think I showed the point of what I do here every year. It's probably the most batches I've made ever at one time. I usually only do maybe 1 or 2 jars each year of only 1 or 2 peppers. I had so many peppers this year, I didn't know what to do with them all, and therefore here we are. I am making multiple batches of fermented pepper sauce. So, hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, if I forgot something, I got something wrong, let me know in the comments down below. I've only been doing this hobby for about 5 years or so, maybe 6 years now. I don't have a whole lot of experience with it, so I could be a little off base on some of this, but this is how I've been doing it. This is how I like to do it. And it's all about the hobby, right? Enjoyment and enjoying the fruits of your labor. So, all right, well, thanks for watching. Talk to y'all next time.